There will be no substitutions. SKT have side selection for game number 4, and predictably, they choose blue side.
Yep, and I have a feeling that we're going to know exactly what the bans are going to come around first with for KT, as the Zac is going to start that one off. We're back to the Ryze again, though, here for SKT, as it could potentially be the Ryze Rakan Kai'Sa that we saw recently, but no, the Olaf going to be taken away this time.
And there's no chance you roll back the bans a third time. They will definitely be banning out other stuff. They will not give open the Olaf. We already know what KT is banning, so the question is, what is SKT's final ban? Do they look for a first pick Kai'Sa and then a first pick Sejuani? They still ban away the Kai'Sa, not being willing to first pick it against Deft, who's shown a lot of skill on it. Will KT change? Because Sejuani, in their third ban every time, they don't think about it. And they say, okay, what do you want? And the answer to that question for the first time, not going to be Swain, it's going to be the Azir.
Yeah, Azir going to be locked in, and now KT, they have the option to go towards the Birdman if they would like to. Well, the other Birdman. Should probably stop saying Birdman, been saying that for Azir for a long time, but Swain certainly fits that bill. But Xayah Rakan is available together for KT Rolster if they want it here on the red side.
Could take Xayah Swain if they want it as well. But you're right, we'll see how much value KT put on the entire Lovers duo. Win rate for that duo for KT hasn't been through the roof. It looked great on it in their most recent series.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantees it will be Rakan at this pick. So we'll see what KT want to do. Could prize away the Skarner as well, the best available of the junglers. But are you worried about blank Skarner? Your first thought is no. So see what KT decide.
Well, Score is going to think about it for quite some time, and the Swain is actually looked at here. Remember, game number 1, it was Azir Swain that SKT found their victory on, and it looked great after that team fight that they were able to turn around, so don't want to see that one again as Rakan snapped up very quickly there by Wolf.
And I'll return to my original point on the Swain. I feel like Swain, if you're an aggressive tempo team like Kingzone and KT, he can turret dive, he gives so much gank assist. On the front foot, Swain is overpowering, is a dominant pick. But if you're going to pick for scaling late game team fights, you're going to be answered. Notice that SKT is not going all in on the Tristana. The Ezreal suggests they are willing to fight earlier. You're not a huge fan of the synergy. Rakan Ezreal's a bit of a weird lane, but it is engage and a 2-item power spike. Maybe they will be able to fight the fights before the Swain goes over the top. As when it comes to KT, we are expecting a mid-lane Swain, given that Yukal has looked fantastic on the pick.
Yeah, just ridiculous. Outside chance that Score is going to be picking up the Camille in the jungle. Have to always mention it, but you have a feeling when it's KT that we already know what the solo lanes are going to be. Gangplank going to be the follow-up ban here, which has been the adaptation.
And they have two choices. They can either blind the Thresh as the first pick on red side, or they can counter-pick support. So I'd actually like to see SKT ban away the Thresh to stop there being a very safe, blind, pickable support, and they will ban away the Thresh. Do like that. Now the blind choices are all with an element of risk. You go for an Alistair.
Yeah.
I guess not a blind, it's into Rakan, so it's not quite fully blind, but in general, you want to remove support power wherever possible. And the Karma mid lane, so they actually respect SKT going for a mid lane Karma comp KSV style. They'll ban that one away. So can counterpick support and then flex the Camille further. Let's see what the decision is, because it could just be a jungle pick at this quadrant as well.
Yeah, it could be the Braum, could be the Leona as well that we have seen. As
Hey!
Score, thinking about a bit of a throwback, and he's going to lock it in.
Bit of a takeaway from Blank. It's a pathing jungler, but an old favorite, Jungle Gragas, coming through on 8.6. So Ambition have a great game on this pick a few series ago. Over the side of SKT.
It's a massive Chaos draft coming out from KT as well. And Hextech Ultimatum into the cask, into just being caught by Yukal with a never move. You could be an SKT member and you could start with your team and then end up on the other side of the map.
Because of the Ezreal, Tal doesn't have to pick as hard for lane, doesn't need to go Fiora, could go Shen or Poppy. Choose to go the Poppy route. Poppy very strong into the Camille.
Yeah,
that's why we see it in this particular game. Let's see what Blank decides. He does not want to return to Jarvan 4 games in a row. Seems to be the first indication, and he will go the Kha'Zix. That will have the skirmishing advantage. But Blank's pathing has let him down. A return to the Kha'Zix here needs to be a return to form for SKT.
Yeah, and he's got to change his footing completely moving into this one as well, as Shen support would be the option, theoretically, unless we're going Camille support, which we have seen before, but not on this patch. Shen's going to be locked in.
So here they go for Shen support, which hasn't been a big pick for Mata, because it's Rakan. Obviously, Rakan's lane phase isn't anything to write home about. They can go for whatever they want, and they go for playmaking in other lanes on the Shen. Now, they do not have a crazy 2v2, I would give a slight lead to Ezreal Rakan, but it's very hard to evaluate. Both of them are on the weaker ends. As Ezreal gets the first level 2, he probably does control the wave. Interesting to see the return of the Shen, not a big pick in Korea. It's a bit more insurance for both the top lane and the Gragas though, because Kha'Zix's all about damage calculation, jumping at the right time, and the Shen stand united might stuff an early engage, and if Kha'Zix falls behind, feast or famine. We know about Kha'Zix on welfare. It's not a victory very often.
No, it is not a great time, and Blank is going to have to turn around its performance almost entirely here. Needs to be the about face for the jungler of SKT. Whether he can do it is still up in the air, but top lane going to be a different story. Now the tank is in the hands of Tal, and how is he going to handle it on this side of the matchup as opposed to what was happening in the game prior?
His Poppy looks really good when his reintroduction into the team, and it's a good matchup for the Poppy. Swain in the hands of Yukal for the first time in the series. There's still going to be about mid-game power spikes on both sides this time. No one's looking full late game. That means the fireworks, they could come earlier, Atlas.
They could come really early, and remember, this is the counter matchup from Game 2 for Yukal in the mid lane, and we'll have to track how well he does because it was a bad time for Faker in that game. But guys, it could all be over here. KT have the option to close it out, and SKT need to fight back to bring us game number 5. Let's do it. Let's hit the riff. Whoa! It's a lot of enthusiasm, and you can understand it here because the SKT fans need a victory to hold on in this gauntlet. Otherwise, they are just right out. KT Rolster can see victory, but they've been in this position so many times.
I see an alpaca.
I see an alpaca
in the
too.
corner there.
That's
Thing to
awesome.
remember, Atlas, is you talk about, okay, SKT could be eliminated. And of course, SKT have had a struggling season where some of their fans will say, oh, we're actually happy that we got into the playoffs, we won a match, ended up finishing 4th, feels bad. But to some people, this will be expectation. Remember that for the legions of SKT fans out there, they have never failed to win spring season since MSI was a thing. MSI final, they lost to EDG. In the 2015 season, they won MSI in 2016 and 2017. This would be the first time they did not qualify for MSI. Of course, it would be a couple of stages before that qualification is even ensured.
And they're going to start off with full vision given over to KT. Blank getting himself a leash here as well, so that fight for level 2 not necessarily as relevant for this game.
And Score debuted as a jungler in 2015. Jungle Gragas was a massive pick, and he was one of the best Gragas players in the world. If you ask me who are the best Gragas players in Korea, I would say Ambition and Score, with Score being number 1. But it isn't a champion that skirmishes strong, and that's why any early vision you can get to make the Gragas predictable should be impetus for electrocute Kha'Zix to get aggressive.
Yeah, and you can see SKT Faker actually shoving further and further forward. And remember, Blank now on this Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix has been changed. Given the Duskblade nerfs, Kha'Zix can now isolate and destroy you even more easily. If he finds you alone in the jungle, Gragas going to be struggling quite a lot if he ever sees the insect.
He probably won't build a Warmogs this game as well, so it's going to be a little bit different from Blank.
And if he does build it, he's never going to activate it. Wonder what the build path change is going to be.
Still a lot of power loaded into the Duskblade Drakthar. It's still a great item, specifically because you can one-shot the wards when you get the passive, and that gives you some defensive utility. Blank knows that Score went this path, and Score says, I probably don't want to die at my red. He actually finds Blank there.
Yeah, that was actually very smart timing from Score.
He might have to give up a camp. Might have to give up a camp. He might have to give up the red buff. It looks like he doesn't want to.
Yeah, Blank actually was taking a bit of damage from that, as Vision of Empire is going to be avoided. Barrel as well. It's a couple of circles that you have to watch out for here from KT, as the leap is actually going to get Blank in there.
It's not isolated, though. He'll just smite it away.
Hanging out with his Brambleback friend.
And if you consider a game where Score and Blank play Yakety Sax around the red buff for 20 minutes, right? Let's just say we're in a weird world where they stayed level 3 forever. It suits the tank jungler that's a lot about CC much more than the ganking jungler that needs farm and early damage. The Score wasting the time of the Kha'Zix is actually much better than the reverse.
Well, he's going to take a drink. Doesn't actually have vision available, remember. Yeah, Marta's just going to walk his way up. Not the greatest ninja, as we talk about quite a lot, but Blank was actually taken away because Smeb was moving from the top side. And this game of cat and mouse that they've been playing in the top side of the jungle eventually goes in the hands of KT.
They do give up complete lane control in bot side just to guarantee the red buff, and we saw the roam from the Camille as well. So very much about Score saying, just keep this even. Don't allow there to be any snowball. We're very happy about our situation as Deft walks up for the first time, but sadly for Wolf, it's just as Marta's back in lane.
Yep, will be absolutely fine. Doesn't actually go back home either, was just at full health as he was wandering around. Blank at level 3, but Score has already hit level 4 as he takes a drink. They get the never move onto Faker. The flash isn't going to land. He gets the slows. Actually, the doubles.
Does he know the
flash
damage?
to follow. Yukao wants to find the Force Lightning, but doesn't get their last auto attack. Will find the kill, but it's traded immediately, and kills onto Blank is good news. Now fighting on the bottom side as Ignite comes down Deft. He's flashed after. Wolf needs one auto. No, he doesn't. The Ignite finishes him off, and the 2v2 kill goes to SKT.
Pretty stuff in the mid lane, gets the 1-for-1, but the bot lane, the calculation there, trying to play up when you have the Shen support. Doesn't matter if he has double summoner. Still Shen in lane. SKT get their first 2v2 lead in a while in this series. For the Ezreal and his 2-item spike, that's happy news.
Yeah, absolute disaster here for Deft as well, because Bang heading towards a Sheen tier pickup, which just really negates the downturn that you have as Ezreal in the early game. All really rough for KT fans, but fantastic for SKT fans and anyone else who wants a 5-game series today in this telecom war.
And that is the ultra dream. Everyone has their allegiance, SKT or KT. But 5 games is the dream. We'd love to see these guys go down to the wall. We'll beat KT with side selection in that final game if we get there, as a reward for being the higher seed. Gonna be the tier Sheen, like you mentioned, very big pickup for Ezreal. Is that happened?
Cool.
They're hoping that's not the symbol of this series for Blank.
Well, maybe Blank is like, it's 6 minutes into the game, I haven't died yet, I don't understand how this is supposed to be in this series, because he's been doing that a lot.
To be fair, we did see Peanut die to the Krugs as well, but that was preseason for Longzhu in the Casper Cup. This one's a little bit more conspicuous. Do you think Twitch chat will enjoy that moment, Atlas?
I think there'd be a lot of question marks up in Twitch chat, but look, sometimes we didn't see the start of that. It might have been some sick mechanics to come out of the Krugs there to really catch him unawares.
Not the easiest to kite, but he's back.
Oh, he's back. Revenge.
This time he brought more longswords.
Look at him lumbering over. I mean, I think a rock man like that is frightening, but yeah, you're right. A couple of long swords as well as Skirmisher's Saber is going to mean that he's okay. Smeb doing okay here towards the top side as well, but Barmy Cinder on Tatal, and he's actually got himself a CS advantage on the Poppy. We know that the matchup does work out quite nicely for the tank girl up there.
Let it be known that the Krugs don't take down the Kha'Zix twice.
Well, Rogue Charge is going to mean Tatal gets at least to the right side, but there's the Hextech ultimatum dodged by both as the flash is timed beautifully from Tal, but still has to be used.
Doesn't mean much less lane control for the Poppy, so you'll take it. Still a good trade for the side of KT, getting a summoner down. Marta's still level 5, so can't go for big plays with the ultimate. And Blank needs to still be on the front foot. He's still on the Kha'Zix, still needs to play aggressive to justify the pick. So while he may feel a bit sheepish about dying, we'll be able to steal away the blue buff here for the Azir.
Yeah, gives it over to Faker as well, which is the nicest thing, like you say. SKT with pressure on the bottom side, like we're going to expect. Saw the tier Sheen pick up both of those blue items to start this one out, and that means Infernal Drake should indeed go over to SKT very easily. It's counter jungling to come in from Score on the top side of the map. He will hear the cries of the dragon as it is taken off the map, meaning that the Wolf Camp should be able to be taken down as well as his blue buff to come in after. But 55 to 61 is the CS margin in the mid lane. Yukao is holding on quite decently as he's gone for the same build that Faker went for in the matchup himself. So it looks like it will be Abyssal Mask.
Score did steal away the walls, but didn't go for a blue buff steal. Actually getting chased by Blank.
Last cone is going to get Score over the side. Not sure whether Score had any idea what was happening, but there are some question mark things, so we're feeling that they did have anything.
Not to be respectful. Marta hits level 6.
Yeah, the flash is going to come down. Featherstorm comes in there as well as Bang has to flash so many different ways with the Arcane Shift as well as his Summoner spell. And he is able to get himself out of there.
Don't often think of Shen Ultimate as an all-in time for the 2v2, but they knew there was no way they could lose a damage trade if they hit the first CC, and they had the Stand United shield to keep the Xayah alive. So a very Rambo play gets them a summoner lead for a long time. Notice the Death's Flash is about 45 seconds off cooldown. Now the Ezreal going to be a lot more vulnerable than usual.
Yeah, there's going to be timings for KT. See where the scorer is going to pay a visit towards that bottom side. Explosive Cask is available. Faker takes another blue buff. This guy has got blues everywhere. It wasn't actually taken from score. I had a feeling that he might be able to grab that one away, but not going to be the case. And Yukal actually feeling like a little bit more damage is a good idea here at this stage of the game. So Sorcerer's Shoes is going to be locked in instead of going towards that Catalyst.
And Merc Tread's not huge value against both the team SKT has, and for a Swain who, as long as he can pop his ultimate, kind of just deals with positioning with Azonias and healing up. Just a bit of Sorks for a little bit more power. If he is able to get into the Abyssal Mask, then 15% damage amp and 15 magic penetration have nice synergy.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of soul fragments that he's sitting on now. Probably wants to fight if he can, but shouldn't really right now, as Tal is going to pop that Steadfast Presence, wander himself around. Not much to do here in the river, as 10 minutes right on the board. We are going to have ourselves a Rift Herald spawning right now.
It's a nice team effort to ward the camps of the Gragas, make him very conspicuous. It also relieves pressure bot lane when you have complete vision of top side, knowing that Gragas is going to be on bottom side of the game.
Yeah, now the buddy system has been set up. Feels like Mata and Score are going to be walking around together for quite some time as Wolf sees them on a ward. Mata going to move over. Stand United is back off cooldown as well as Score turns up, but there's a Kha'Zix waiting in the wings. See whether SKT is going to be able to get the work done. Oh, not going to be able to get the smite like Score got against Blank in game number 3.
While Blank is getting some safety by pushing up and warding these camps, he's actually down quite a bit of experience. He's down the best part of a level. He's basically a single level down on the Gragas. And while you can say, we got control wards on the top side, we know Gragas is bottom side, therefore Ezreal can play safe with no flash. Remember that Gragas with just the ambient gold, as the game goes on, Gragas has more of a defined role in team fights than the Kha'Zix does. So while it's not ideal for KT, it's the trade you want to take when you have this particular jungle matchup.
Yeah, he will always have a barrel that he can throw at people and make their day frustrating. Okay, Vision of Empire actually going to zone Faker out of the way as Yukal. This is going to get real dangerous. Stand United has come down though as there's the Emperor's Divide. Fantastic flash. Means that Blank can't do anything and Tal finds the ultimate. Yukal, he's still alive. He's just walking it out. The buckler comes up at the right time, but he sacrificed himself. And there it is. It's going to be the sweep to pick it up for Smeb. He joins in the party. It's 3 for 3. The game is so close right now.
It's 2 for 1, but Faker didn't factor in the ultimate there from the Shen, and that was the difference to stop them getting the early kill. And then Poppy basically had to give up her entire health bar to spare the blushes. You watch the replay. When Blank comes in, your first thought is, this is the good moment. But the Shen ultimate when you're on low health into the healing is a massive turnaround onto the side of KT. He flashes away, and while Tal eventually gets the kill, he gives up his entire health bar to do 200 health worth of damage to the Swain.
Yeah. He's just dead, and that's going to mean that Smeb's going to have a much better time towards the top side as well. Deft seems to be feeling okay down here as the Essence Reaver almost completed. But at this point, before the 2 items have been complete by Bang, he's going to be feeling okay. Looks like Trinity Force is going to be the option. I love that from Bang. Have the earlier spike that's going to do more damage as opposed to having the utility, because they need as much work from Bang this game as possible.
It's a high damage comp from the side of KT though. It's a top lane carry. The Gragas doesn't really do any damage, but in the mid game it's going to be a little bit relevant. Compositionally, in terms of team fights, they have a lot of answers. If you think about the Hextech Ultimatum, Poppy 1-to-1 disengage on that most of the time. We've seen Smeb disengage some pretty amazing things with the Camille ultimate. The Hextech Ultimatum disengaging the Zac ultimate was the most impressive one that we saw, but he has done it to the Poppy Copter as well. The Emperor's Divide is there as well. So they have very good answers to Hextech Ultimatum on the Ezreal or the Azir. But KT does have a lot of damage, and while the Poppy does answer well, we know that Camille does bonkers damage when she gets 3 damage items together and can win the 1v1 side push. So while there's some great answers, it's not like the entire composition from KT is answered by SKT's comp.
Now, Deft has actually evened things out here towards the bottom side. Remember, it was Wolf that picked up that kill early on, so Bang would have liked a little bit more of that money. Now Faker looking for the Emperor's Divide, not actually finding it here just yet. There we go. There's now Yukal. He hasn't actually popped the ult just yet. A score makes his way in, head onto the tower, and the Force Lightning grabs the kill onto the Kazakhs. Way too squishy, and Score just knows where to be.
It's 3 games in a row that his positioning and his pathing has undone every good moment from Blank. And I'm sure Blank didn't want to be in this scenario, playing Kazakhs, going against his natural style in the elimination match. But that's what the 3 bans have done. That's what the pressure has done. And now the Kazakhs feeling anemic, 2 camps behind, and not getting the kills he needs.
And this is the questions that we had for SKT as well, because it was back-to-back Zach games coming in for Blank when we were like, oh, he's found some form. He's found something that he can do. But no, he found a champion he could win on that when it's banned away just didn't have the options. And it was the Trundle, but we haven't seen him at all. Ultimatum actually going to be thrown out here on the top side of Score. He's going to pay a visit, the Poppycopter like you were talking about. He chooses to get rid of the Gragas. But now we've got Yukal. He's going down in the mid lane, but we've got an ultimate coming in from Mata as well. The answers are aplenty for KT. No kills anywhere on the map, but it's going to be KT with positional advantage and aggression leading over SKT.
There's always windows you can try to take down the Swain, but this time the return gank is answered by the Stand United. The observer showing us that it was a W interrupt by Wolf. He had to use his flash to interrupt, as far as we can tell. Maybe even been flash and the quickness, so quite a lot required there to stop the Shen going through, and I'm not sure the Shen would have even looked for an engage. But you see something in front of you and you react to it. KT Rolster have a slight gold lead. SKT put together 2 Drakes. This game is far from done. The only real conspicuous thing is the Kazakhs value is looking like it's going to be, once again, a struggle as his W's off cooldown. He'll probably get through this time.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I was really frightened there for a second. Moving down toward that Krug camp. It's scary. This KT should be able to take down the Rift Herald. First brick still not taken. As Faker gets out of the way of the Vision of Empire, and we've got a bunch of wards up top side, meaning that this will be Shelly taken down with relative ease.
I just love that the observer showed it because he saw the low health bar and he was like, what if it happened a second time? I can't miss it a second time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God. Well, True Shot Barrage is not going to be able to grab Shelly, and that's going to be a back coming in from Smeb as well. We're close to a Trinity Force, just a stinger away. Not going to quite get there yet, though, but he does have the dagger. And now we've got pings out. Blank moving over here. They've got a pink ward in this rush. There's no mana on to Score, and Blank just wants to grab this kill. Now he's isolated. Body Slam comes in. Vision of Empire. We've got the ult, and there we go. Booped back with the Blast Cone. Not exactly great news for Score, but he doesn't die.
Team is supporting Blank here. They are on the front foot, but they don't get the kill. The Aftershock proc is also very helpful in keeping him alive. Team-wide counter-jungling, but it's not off the back of the kill. It's not doubling down on elites. Speaking of elites...
There's the flash engage. This is going to be a 2v2, though, as the blue buff is just going to try and chase them away. Yukal, he's set up, but Faker is just going to get zoned out by the Swain, and now, yep, see you later, Wolf.
No cooldown for Wolf. Had to use his flash earlier for the all-in.
And that was actually meaningful now, isn't it?
And that's what it's all about. Timings from KT have been better than the timings from SKT. In the last 3 games, they've been able to take advantage of pathing, of cooldowns. They return to it when they're strong, and every time Mata's actually used the flash, he's had the forethought to know when to use it, and that time trades up in a big way.
Well, it looks like the bottom outer turret is going to be the first target yet again as Smeb underneath his own on the top side could be a problem, but another teleport comes in. That was interesting as Smeb's going to be knocked back as the direction of the ultimate not exactly going to make a lot of sense, but SKT will lose that turret. Smeb once again going to be engaged on. Flashes out of the way as Blank. He's going to get stunned up. Oh my God, Smeb just playing like a beast, picks it up. 1 versus 2. The answer not quite there as Tal is at least able to survive, but it's still a 1-for-1.
It was almost a 1v2. Holy crap, Smeb. His outplays on this champion, on the Camille, has been such a big highlight. Reading Untara like a book. Last time out. This time it's Tal, but that was excellent work from him.
Yeah, it's like if you've got an SKT jersey, Smeb seems to know what's going on. Of course, not necessarily the case on the gangplank in game number 1, but, game number 2. This time around, oh my goodness, Smeb really understanding what to get done in clutch situations. Now going to have that stinger. Feels real bad that he doesn't have the 300 gold to build up his Trinity Force. He's going to wander himself back towards that top side. That tower very, very low. But it was still first Star Blood going over to KT, and they're going to keep about a 1.5k lead which is nothing to write home about at all. 20 minutes on the clock. SKT still certainly in this game.
And you take a step back and remember that 4 games in a row, they've been able to take first brick, take first turret, get their support on the road. We get to watch this replay. Really nicely done by Smeb. Gets the passive back up again. And while he's not tanking and Blank doesn't go down early, able to turn on to him. The cooldown wasn't there for the E. Who knows about a potential double kill, but Smeb will certainly take that with all the resources turned into the top lane. SKT pull off a lane swap, but again, the standard playbook has been applied by KT. They've been able to get out of lane, they've been able to roam smart. Mata has been on the map more than Wolf this series, been the better support over the course of 4 games. It is one item Ezreal, soon to be the Muramana completion. But given that Blank is going to have a very delayed first item of a Duskblade, just wondering if SKT have any true window to take advantage of KT.
Well, Bang should be able to take down this turret. One more auto attack will do. He's just going to wander up and take that one as Blank. Vision of him, as there's the ward in the mid lane, as you can see. Rift Herald is going to be taken. Little Dragon setting up shop here as well, as Tal doesn't want to fight Smeb anymore. Trinity Force is done, as well as the Tiamat. And Smeb just waits out the Steadfast Presence, and the zoning is going to continue.
Definitely the trademark of Smeb is to go for the hook shot and then reevaluate. Love displays against Untara in the Camille Jax matchup. This one is set up for failure compared to that matchup because the Steadfast Presence and the ultimate can both disengage. What the Camille wants to do, if anything's on cooldown, you're able to come back in and get some good trades. Speaking of trades, KT pushing up. Remember that Mata has Stand United available again, so any all-in on mid lane is doomed for failure.
Good vision still available here for SKT though, so they know exactly what is going on. Deft moving on up towards the top side as these minion waves will crash. Newcal just getting through it. Zhonya should be done relatively soon. Has that Abyssal Mask for the safety. And it feels like a Gragas in his pocket throughout this game as well. Score has seemed to know exactly when SKT want to turn on the aggression. Manamute now done for Bang. This is the time where Bang is going to be strong, and it's much earlier than in any other game that we've seen this season. So now is it time to get back on the Bang ride?
Bang ride?
Talking about.
Do you have any other names for that one?
Oh, you do.
The Bang Basket?
The Bang Basket, the Bang Bushel, the Bang Bevy.
I mean, this game is definitely a lot more set up for Bang to be relevant. When you go for a Tristana in a meta where no one in Korea is playing Tristana, it was always about the clock, and the clock was running out. It was not striking Tristana. It was going out much earlier. This time it's the Ezreal. He is one of the best Ezreal players of all time. He's just hit the Muramana at 20 minutes. Red buff goes the way of Deft. There's a team fight that Bang carries, but he has to carry basically every team fight because there's no more losses available to SKT. They lose another team fight, could just be the game.
Yeah, and Deft is able to pick up a whole lot of farm around this map as well. Actually turned it into a 40 CS advantage. So he will be getting towards his next few items. We know Deft likes to build Static Shiv as item number 3. Not going to be that classic 3-item Infinity Edge style of Power Spike, but maybe that's going to be what Deft heads for. This time is the Flash not going to find him.
Does get a Flash from Wolf, so it is a bit more safety for the Xayah in that particular play. Not the greatest trade, because if you don't have Flash, Shen is really only an ultimate, but
it's been showing that that's a pretty good thing to have as well. This
Can't complain too much, Alex.
KT still got some navigation to do. This composition is not as straightforward as their other comps.
Do note that Yukal went teleport this game. Went Phase Rush, not Ghost Flash. Went the teleport, and I'm sure people will criticize Faker for not going the way of teleport. Shen with teleport is always of questionable use because he kind of has to ult in, and unless he has a ward in the back line, has to amble over. His W needs setup. He's not the greatest impact teleport champion.
Yeah.
But if he wants to answer the side lane, makes a lot of sense for Yukal. Pick up the teleport and just walk for Faker, because Faker, as a player on these hypercarry champions, has always been big on playing side lanes.
Yeah, and I just feel like, oh, Score looking for it. They do find Faker there as Wolf gets himself in. Faker managing to deal with this fight quite nicely, but there's the Ignite ticking down. Yukal flashes over. The Demonic Ascension just eating through the health totals of Blank. Wolf also not in the greatest position, but there's the stun that never moved, the pullback, and the lightning takes down the bug.
3 for 0 on the side of KT. 2 for 0, I should say. Well, they walk up to the Baron. Tal is very healthy. Seeing the teleport out here coming through from Yukal.
Yeah, gets himself underneath this turret as now SKT potentially flank. No Demon Flare or Demonic Ascension, of course, available for UCal.
Still early in the game, so just take a turret. That's all KT want to do. They make the measured play. They don't get greedy for a Baron at 23 minutes after a series that's been defined by pre-25-minute Barons. They do not want to lose the mid lane turret either. Keep the Swain in a short lane, or Xayah farming in a short lane. KT back away. It's just 2 kills, but the extra turret is the icing on the cake for KT.
Yeah, creeping up to about a 3,000 gold lead. KT, a lot of options. It's going to be a BF sword picked up here for Deft, so he wants the big punch at 3 items on the Xayah. Let's have a look at this fight yet again.
Go for the engage onto the Azir. That's the big play here. Faker able to use the Weaver's Wall. It doesn't really separate the team. It separates Score away, but Score is a tank. Eventually, UCal get in the backline. He holds onto the Demonic Ascension. It looks like Blank's actually going to escape this one, as he's out of range of the ultimate, but gets hit by that maximum range E.
Feels like a ludicrous stun when it puts you into a wall like that as well.
And UCal has been majestically good on the Swain previously. KT are a more aggressive-minded team, and we just see a different performance here.
Oh, wow, that damage! Just the combo coming out from SKT. Bang, hits everything. Tal grabs the buckler and just bonks him into the wall.
And what does that mean? Because Baron is potentially a pickup here for SKT after Def gets taken out. Had flash and ult, didn't use it. Smeb walks up. This could be the big moment for SKT.
Yep, no teleports. We've got a smite coming in from Score. They want to try and deny the vision. You know they're going to turn from this one. Poppycopter not going to get rid of Scores. Now KT not going to have to worry about that one. And Blank, he's so incredibly low. In goes Marta. They're going to start the fight here. KT Rolster, there's the 3-man Emperor's Divide. As KT, they're just going to try and fight this one out. Tal's going to fall. SKT scattering. And now, do KT go for the Baron? No, they don't. 2 seconds onto Deft. They're just going to move back towards this mid lane.
They don't have the consistent damage, take it out, and they also don't have the turn-off Baron with the Demonic Ascension, with the Swain ultimate being on cooldown. 4v5, though, they show the power of having these beefy damage dealers in the front line, stopping anyone from SKT being relevant. They will get the mid lane turret as well, and their next Baron player will be that much safer with the extra vision from the minions pushing in to mid and top lane.
I just have to say that Score and Marta's ability to start the right fights this series has just been majestic to watch. Even on Gragas, people have been making jokes about Gragas. When people pick him, they're like, this is not a jungler that works anymore. You know, he's sort of very fringe, does still kind of do his job, but it hasn't been a power pick. Score's making it look like the best engaged jungler in the game, as he's just walking towards SKT and they have to do everything to get rid of him.
SKT saw it and tried to answer it with the reason why we didn't see Gragas early in the season was there were too many junglers that out-skirmished the Gragas. Olaf, Kha'Zix, all these champions heavily out-skirmish the Gragas. But unfortunately, because Blank was so well held and we had those moments where they were just standing there wasting time around buffs, Score was just saying, I'll be fine, I'll farm, I'll be an ult bot, I'll be a tank. You don't have the fallback there for Blank on the Kha'Zix unless you're already winning a lot elsewhere. You're behind in items, you don't contribute much, and unfortunately for Blank, he's been down a level for the majority of the game. He just doesn't have enough damage from the rest of the team to be a clean-up Kha'Zix in game number 4.
Well, he can just destroy that control ward in one shot if he wants to. He activates his Duskblade, but he's just too scared to go anywhere near KT, and it makes sense because Marta, he has a Shadow Dash, and he's got some friends hanging around him as well, and Blank just so incredibly squishy on these 2 items that he's managed to pick up. Score, he's got his Knight's Vow. He's almost got a Warmog's armor as well, so he'll be able to start off Barons, stop them whenever he wants to.
You just think
that's now done for Deft as well.
Unfortunately, you compare what the 2 champions do now.
God.
Blank almost just dies incidentally. Right now, Score can walk up and ward. He can clear wards. He can initiate fights. Blank can't clear wards because he might just die instantly with his health bar, as we saw on the screen. He isn't a tank. He doesn't have fallback. He can't just be someone that leashes the Baron and then looks for a turn. It's KT themselves going to leash the Baron, knowing that Blank is likely in base.
Yeah, he's going to be walking back here as Marta. He's just on guard duty. Half the health bar now, but this is a relatively slow Baron. Camille, Smeb looking for that flanking play. Could possibly get there as SKT. Thinking about trying to collapse onto the top laner. Blank moves his way over. Hookshot is going to be there though, so Smeb's going to get out and KT will just take the Baron.
Actually an awful smite from Score. It was 12 HP actually on the Baron. 2 plus 10 in one way, but didn't matter because SKT were forced to walk away when they saw the flank coming through from Smeb.
And what is Gragas incredibly good at? Disengage. I have a feeling that Score should be able to get out of here as Grand Entrance comes in. He's going to flash, and they're looking to actually turn it. Yeah, exactly. Yukal getting in on the back line, just flashes forward on top of them. Marta looking for the Shadow Dash, but doesn't get it. Will be sacrificed here, as it's going to be Faker picking up that kill. Blank trying to flash himself away as Smeb will get on top of him. No, he won't. Just gets it in the end with an auto attack. There's now SKT getting hunted. Yukal doesn't have Demonic Ascension anymore, and KT possibly biting off more than they can chew, as it's 3 versus 4. Low health bars, though, of SKT mean they don't want to chase. Smeb gets himself out, and they've got the Baron onto 5.
Actually, really messy stuff from KT. Both the Baron secure and the turn. The early flash from Yukal means the Emperor's Divide is a huge no button, and he's not able to get in range to get any real damage from the Demon Flare. But they get the Baron. That was the core objective they were setting up for. Smeb can go to the bot lane, now has a Baron buff to complement the huge burst damage from the Trinity Force and the Ravenous Hydra. KT want to clean up the play, but you can understand the theory, and they get the Baron they've been setting up for the past 10 minutes.
Yeah, the strategy, certainly you can understand. Probably could be cleaner. You are right. 2 minutes now for that one, as Cloud Drake going to be opted in for SKT. Remember, did manage to get the first 2 Drakes of this game. The last 2 going to belong to KT. KT always able to pick up Ocean Drakes, it seems. It's going to be a cloudy day. Marta clearing out vision. Faker actually is going to move everyone out of that bottom side. Still, he's going to do a lot of damage. Needlessly large rod now picked up. The Sun Turret has been put up as well, so Faker almost towards that Rabadon's death cap. We've got a Blade of the Ruin King here for Bang. He's still strong. 0-0 and 3 at the moment. Haven't been talking about him that much, but has been able to get a lot of things done. Got to really see more from him, though.
Deft is an item completion away from being truly relevant. Doesn't have the IE just yet. But slowly putting together the damage. Had to go QSS for a bit more safety. Both the top laners are monsters, but remember that Smeb has the ability to kill turrets in one hit, which makes him that much more formidable when the Baron buff is there to halt the Poppy making plays.
There's a Vision of Empire just scouting that brush. Pretty fantastic. His caster minion is going to be banded up. It's picked up by Marta. Jeff wants to try and find some more as they're going for the 1v1. Tal, he's just taking too much damage, gets stunned underneath the turret, wants to find more, not going to be it, and Marta's going to be able to pick up that kill, and they get the inner turret on the bottom side of the map. KT are just everywhere at once this game.
Yeah, the Shen play there, super good to see. Marta read the situation as well. If you're going to have a Rakan, we're not scared of the 2v2. I can go for the riskiest 2v2 champion, it's Blank.
Yeah, gets into the backline, but doesn't really do anything. Grand Entrance comes down onto Yukal. He's immediately dispatched. This could be the opportunity, but Blank, no. He's just way too squishy and deft. Grabs that kill. Meanwhile, Smeb, he's deciding to win the game, and SKT are just going to get pulled around the map. Double cannon minions, and Faker wants to try and get on top of him. Smeb should be able to create the distance that he needs, as there's the Emperor's Divide, and Smeb not quite able to get the one done, but my god, Wolf just takes too much, and Bang gets here in time. But it's all just a ruse. It's a cunning ruse from Smeb. Just buy them the inhibitor on the bottom side of the map.
That's what happens when you have that Camille on the top side. If you spend any time with her, able to get objectives on the bottom side of the map. Base broken in 2 spots. 1 Baron picked up. KT able to back away, finish off that final damage item onto Def. Now he will be online to complement his team. Seems like KT Rolster are 1 push away from making it to the semifinals and playing the Afrika Freaks.
Yeah, and if you look back at how the Afrika Freaks dealt with KT last time, it was not so good. I'm sure everyone looking for a rematch, especially the Afrika fans. KT looking brilliant in this last game, but SKT, there are still options. It's only 1 inhibitor down, even though that bottom inhibitor turret did fall as well. There's a team that's able to play it late. Certainly is SKT, especially this year. It's really getting into dire straits. They're going to need some heroism. Rabadon's death cap is done now for Faker. It could be him that might find a way back in, but Blank picked up a Kindle gem since last we were talking about him being on welfare, and that's not great.
Massive CS lead in the mid lane as well, to the tune of a death cap, but unfortunately Yukal's reached a position where he's tanky and a damage dealer from both kill involvements, but also just incidental gold. It's 8 turrets to 1 on the side of KT Rolster, so he's going to be in basically gold parity with the Azir. And Azir actually winning a fight here, being more than just a peel. It's looking unlikely as KT has so much burst damage onto 1 member. if Deft is able to get in there and fire alongside either the Swain or the Camille.
Well, he's now got all of the firepower to offer anything there. He's going to be the one getting these 2 auto-attack kills from full health. Was what Bang was able to bring to the table in game number 1. It feels like the shoe is now on the other foot. Smeb setting himself up on this control ward as Wolf. He can't face check that. Does have the grand entrance to get himself out as Blank. He's in there as well, as that's the wrong direction for the blast cone. As Smeb, he's going to get ulted, but it's not enough there from Mata. Probably just a waste, as the ultimate comes out from Tal as well to get rid of the rest of KT. Just a mistake from the top laner of KT Rolster.
Yeah, big blooper from Smeb. He used the blasting plant, I guess maybe as an attack move, and ended up looking very sheepish for it. He got the preparation for the big burst, then got baited to go for the burst onto Wolf without vision. That was a very KT 2017 era mistake. The captain and shot caller of KT Rolster uses his summoner from that as well. That means that SKT get a bit more time. Now, it isn't game 1 through 3. They don't have a Tristana to really fully take advantage of more time, but they'll take whatever they can get. They haven't been able to roll the decision-making on the Rift for the best part of 3 series. They finally get to reset, put up a vision line, and think about a future fight.
Yeah, buying some more time for SKT, and that is what they want. Can they get Faker into a position where he can just hard carry a team fight? Well, I don't think so. He has to try and get himself out of this position first, as now Yukal is going to find him with the never move. Faker cleanses it, gets out of the way, but there's the Emperor's Divide to save it here from Faker. Mata gets himself over the top, and Deft grabs that kill, immediately followed by Wolf, as now Hextech Ultimatum Demon Flare slaughters SKT.
It's only Poppy alive.
The last man standing.
This might be the moment. This might be SKT missing out on MSI for the first time in history.
Yeah, they've got a minion wave coming towards the top side. Tal is just being corralled by Mata, who's on this Shen, standing in front of him, stopping the Poppy going home. And KT Rolster, they've done it. It's the 3-1 victory in the telecom war of the playoffs, and they're heading to round 2.
KT Rolster eliminate SK Telecom T1 at their lowest position in the history of the LCK. Since we started this league format in 2015, the worst SKT had ever made was the semifinals when KT knocked them out. Seems like KT are the team that pre-finals can answer SK Telecom T1. They eliminate them in quarters. SK Telecom T1 do not have the full redemption. To some fans, this is enough. They were 9th place, they made it to playoffs, they avenged the World Championship loss, and they beat KSV. But when it came to the most personal matchup for SKT, the Telecom War, they did not have the players, they did not have the game plan, and KT Rolster were the better squad on the day.
Yeah, you can see some low faces here from SKT, but KT Rolster, it feels like redemption at every turn up against SKT. It doesn't matter. It's still a long road for them here in this gauntlet. They're going to feel brilliant moving into that matchup against the Afrika Freaks, especially after their 2-0 victory in the final game of the regular season.
The first time an SKT fan, you would say almost in history, basically since 2014, has had to come crashing down to earth. Now, they were not world champions every time they attended Worlds. Now they do not just go to the finals and run the gauntlet. There were very strong teams in Korea, but throughout the majority of the 11 weeks of play, you could count the amount of times you could SKT in the Big 3 to Big 4 on one finger. They have struggled extensively on the season. They should still be proud of finishing in 4th spot. They will go to Rift Rivals, but SK Telecom T1 are no longer the best team in Korea, as shown by this series.
Yeah, and it could be one of 3 teams now, as Kingzone looking on to see whether it's going to be Afrika or KT this time that they're going to be facing in that final in Busan. Deft should be holding his head high. I mean, it was only one whoopsie, I think, that was in that final game that he had. Oftentimes, he can collapse mentally in these sort of matchups. Could be very exciting watching to see how he's developed in playoff series as we go on.
And the thing about KT last year is everyone got an oopsie every game, it felt like, where you were just waiting, like, who's going to make the Clown Fiesta mistake? There was 2 in a series. Smeb and then Deft in this series had some down moments. Yukal has brought a different dimension to their team. He is a stronger laner than Pawn, and his reliability in the mid lane. Remember, we never really talked about Yukal this series. He stood across from Faker and was admirably good in the same way that BDD was in the LCK final last year.
Yeah, and also in the counter matchup that Yukal was able to decimate when it was Faker on the Swain and him on the Azir. So absolutely hats off to Yukal having an incredible split to start this one off. lot of people talking about, muttering things about, you know, the health of Pawn, the reason why he's not playing, things like that. I have a feeling now, if he says, yeah, guys, I'm ready to play, they say, nuh-uh.
I asked the staff if he was here, and people said, I don't think so. And that was the reality, is we're never 100% sure how much of the squad is on site. They don't feel like they need Pawn, and when you're able to stand up to SKT and Faker in a best-of-5, first best-of-5 of his career, he gets the pass marks. His score is triple MVP, and the Rush fans, I'm sure they're conflicted, as Score shows why he is such the most important part of this squad. But they needed Rush. I think Rush gives them dimension in game ones to be able to have Score sit at the back, make the adjustments, and he made Blank look very, very ordinary in a way that he hasn't in a few weeks.
Yep, Score 300 points, launching himself up here in the playoff MVP rankings. And let's have a look at this. He's just always there to help UCal in the mid lane.
He's been one of the best junglers in Korea ever since he made the role swap. From spring of 2015, his first competitive split as a jungler, the sort of smarts that made him the unkillable Score, the person who would never die.
Yeah, the immortal Score.
The immortal Score was such a famous meme back in the day, and while he dies more now, he dies with a purpose. He's there with a reason. His pathing is super smart. The adjustments he made, Blank never looked like the best jungler for even a minute on the Rift of this series.
Just genius stuff. Always able to get the engagements. Honorable mention needs to go to Mata here as well this series. The Shen felt like a Mata champion, which it never really has. In the past, the fights were messy, they were on all fronts, and that's exactly how KT liked them.
Would have liked to see SKT take this approach for game number 3. Roll the dice on the Ezreal comp on earlier power spikes earlier in the series, because they had to win every game. They tried a big takeaway. Clearly all of their prep was into the Tristana, into the hyper carries, and trying to ignore the early game. Ignore the early game at your own peril against the team of KT Rolster, able to take down SKT on this famous day.
Yeah. Not getting the perfect flank there, as well as KT just seem to make these team fights look all too easy. Score's just going to feel great about it. Also managed to get a smite away in a 50-50 situation as well this series. It's the dream series to be Score. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to that team interview with all of KT Rolster. So, to get you all of your translation, all of your needs sorted out, we're going to head over to Discord and have a chat to Joel.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your last interview translations for LCK spring of this year. It's good to be here translating the interview for you guys for the very last time, and what a way to do it. We do have the telecom war to finish it all off, and KT Rolster pick up the win against SK Telecom, and here they are grasping in their glory. We're going to have an interview with these guys. Regular season, very successful, and playoffs now are even more successful than ever. How do you feel about the victory? The games were really, really difficult today, and I'm extremely exhausted already. But you know, overall, I'm happy, and I think that's the most important thing here. And UCal, you just made a name for yourself more than ever to the entire world stage. And how do you feel about your plays? I was very happy with my plays today. We were actually worried about you today, since you had a really good regular season. We thought you might have a little frills when it comes to performing on this big stage in the playoffs. Yeah, it was really, it's really tiring because I haven't done this best of 5s before. But I think I should have had this in mind, but just the overall good result gets me good right now. And of course, you did not feel nervous for the entire game. And how'd you feel about the entire series when you came through all together? I think it was a really fun series overall, if I can say that. Yeah, it definitely seems like the teams are just like wanting to get the victory, and they're just happy about the victory overall. Let's move on to Score, because just clean sweep over all the MVPs available. Greedy, if you will, taking all the MVP points all to yourself, Score, today. How do you feel? I mean, we're talking about playoffs against SKT, and I just don't have even the littlest of memories of beating SKT in a playoff series, and I think today's just was a blessing in disguise, and everything went right for us today. And really, just score coming in Game 2, he made heaps of highlights back and forth. We can look at some of them right now and see how he has done ever since he has entered the game. It just seemed like jungle was a main point of focus for both teams. It just seems like strategizing was definitely a thing for you guys today. I mean, the head coach was really focused on kind of banning out the important junglers during the picks and bans, and I think that put out to a lot of big effect in today's games. And of course, the chemistry with Yukao was also impressive as well. I mean, Yukao, you can't really tell that he's a rookie anymore since he's so composed and it doesn't really shake, and it's just all about things that he does. Just seems like a cool veteran that just marches forward to all the success that he's having. And Smith, any other comments about Yukao overall, about your wonderful rookie? I mean, I've never had such a reliable younger brother in a team that I can just rely on to make great plays like that. And you did have some mistakes in between the games, but that did not lead to a loss overall. I'm actually happy with how I played today. And of course with Yukao as well, you know, he might have made some mistakes here and there, but overall, you know, we saw the greatness of him, and that's all it takes to get the victory here. And we saw that, you know, the teleport that you almost escaped out of there with the slimmest of HPs, and you didn't get to that on. You know, my teammates were telling me that I was gonna be going out, but I saw the Tristana E just hanging over my head, and I knew what that meant with that slimmest of HP, and I knew I was gonna die. This was it right here. And the E followed all the way through the tracks of the teleport. If it wasn't for that E, I wouldn't have died. And we thought that this was a heartbreaking situation for Smed, but we thought the success would come right after that. And of course the pressure would have definitely been on. It's a very familiar series when you talk about KT versus SKT, and what was the kind of the thought process when you were going through the series today? You know, we did have the same matchup during the regular season, and we showed good forms against SKT, and that confidence did allow to bring that over to the playoffs, and it just allowed us to kind of continue on with that momentum to try to do a little bit better today. So we'll talk over to some of the players here too, behind the scenes here. Rush, it's our first interview here at OGN. And Rush, you were the starter in the jungle role today. I'm sure that was a big experience for you today. How'd you feel? It wasn't really a pressure, but I thought it was just an opportunity to show a good side of me today, but I think the results kind of was disappointing itself. And we heard that, you know, 2 days later, it is going to be your birthday, you know, very soon. I mean, the players are so focused on practice that they're not even aware of their own birthdays. You might have to practice a little more now that you made it to the next round of playoffs during your birthday. How do you feel about that? You know, I've gained enough age by now, and for one thing, you know, it's just birthdays are kind of a pastime now. Not a big deal anymore. Of course, Rush, you did have a long-standing career in NA before you did come over to KT. And what is the biggest difference that you felt so far between the two regions? If you can say anything better about Korea, yeah, everything's great in Korea. And we have to talk about the bot duo of KT and the team that really showed it off today. You guys felt a very clean victory with 3-1. How do you feel? I mean, the last game, getting solo killed like that got me a little nervous at the beginning. But I feel like, whenever you do get solo killed and still manage to pull out a victory, that's the greatest feeling in the world. And right now, you do talk about the feedbacks when it talks about Mata being in that role. How do you feel about today's games? I think everyone played really well and played up to their role. But I think personally that I didn't play as well as the other guys, and I was a little disappointed, but I definitely got a lot of help from my good teammates right you see here beside me. And what did you feel was specifically the bad point of your plays today? Yeah, I was really ahead with Alistar in game 1, but I felt like I could have carried that on, that advantage to a bigger reward for our team, but I knew that Deft he wanted to get a little more excited when it comes to moving around a little more freely than usual, and I tried to support him as much as I can, but I think I could have done better. And Deft, I think he has something to say to that. He was hovering back and forth between his mic here. Anything you want to say to that comment? It was about me trying to get the excitement going, and I think that's a completely understandable thing, if you mind me. I also thought the way I did in game 1, and it was a kind of a little miscalculation, just the inches of difference, but I don't feel bad about my plays in game 1. And you guys were having a little chat after the game, and we thought that you mentioning about Peanut in today's games today was really interesting. I thought his score was absolutely Peanut-like today in the way he played. And of course, you can't just rest on this win today, because you do have multiple rounds before you do get the Grand Championship here. And you did say, Smeb, in front of the interview, that you want to hurry up and meet your former teammates back in. But you wanted to talk about Kuro as well, who's going to be meeting in the next round. I did give him a little spanking, Kuro, during the regular season. So against Africa, I think he can expect the same in this playoffs here. And I think right now, the bigger goal here is to get to Longzhu and to see all my good old friends with Praying Gorilla and Peanut, to see how we can play against them eventually. And Yukao, maybe we can have a little last chat here. It just seems like, against Faker and all these big mid laners, what has been the challenge like, going up against these really big mid laners out there? I mean, really, you gotta risk it sometimes. If you fail, you fail big, but if you succeed, you can succeed big as well. Very much an expecting, a lot of high expectations for this player, but for this team overall, KT Rolster picking up a very good win to get to the next round. But Captain, with score, would you like to say anything for the next round here? I think we're in a stage where we're really satisfied with how we're playing rather than the actual wins of the results. And of course, we had a little bit of a jinx when it came to facing SKT in the playoffs, but we kind of broke that jinx altogether. That curse is gone forever, and we can just talk about all the fans that are always supporting us. That gets us the power to overcome all these difficult things, and it just allows us to play a lot better and become a better team. So we just like to get excited overall and just get to the next round with a lot of fervor. And that will be the end of the interview, with the telecom war ending in the hands of KT Rolster raising up their hands, and that will be the end of the interview. Translations, we'll send it back to you guys for the very last time from me. We'll see you next season.
Thank you very much, Joel. It is a little bit sad because this is going to be my last one for this season as well, Papa Smithy. You are going to be leaving us, heading over to Spo TV with Brendan Valdez to do the last 2 matches. But this is going to be your result. 3 victories in a row for KT. Once Rush went in, got the assessment from Blank, and gave Score all of the rulebook. And he just read it and said, okay.
3 different picks, the same result in all 3 games. And you do get the close of the story, though, Atlas. To me, this is the close of the SKT dominance on the domestic scale, backing up the end of the dominance on the global scale back at Worlds. KT go on, and guess what, guys? There's 3 teams left. They've all got a Rox Tiger. It's going to be Kuro versus Smeb. Winner plays the 3 on the side of Kingzone. Somehow, that is still relevant in 2018, 2 years later. Afrika KT. While you might think we saw a preview of this match, Afrika had nothing to play for and basically rolled over against KT. And was that a spoiler for their match on Sunday, or was that a bit of mind gaming? That's what we get to find out.
Yeah, we have absolutely no idea. Remember, the drafts for those games were also a little bit interesting. Of course, a bit of a show match for everyone. But guys, it is going to be a final goodbye for me. We will be doing the promotion tournament here at OGN as well, so some opportunities there. But thank you so much for watching here at OGN. And it's just going to be so sad watching on. But thankfully, I've got you and my beautiful friend Brendan Valdez as well to hold it out. But guys, that's going to be it from us. He will see you next time, and I will not until the promotion tournament.